It's another beautiful day out here on the Tower Farm, and there you go. Okay, we are going to continue with the broadcast. I had some technical issues. Somehow, reception wasn't very good where I was. There is a proverb here that I want us to look at it very, very closely. I will be asking you a very pertinent question, and don't take it too personal. But if you do, and it changes you, I think we've achieved something. I want to talk about laziness. How do you know you're lazy? Yeah, I know it's not a very comfortable subject, but we need to have this conversation. When God created man, the instruction was given to have dominion, to subdue the earth, and to rule over it. God gave a promise to the children of Israel that he was going to take them to the promised land. After 40 days of manna in the desert, when they arrived the promised land, they needed boots on the ground. Literally, they had to occupy the land. They had to physically fight the inhabitants of the land. Yes, God had promised them the land, but they had to fight. They had to fight to occupy the land that God had promised to them. I'm talking about laziness today because God has given us many promises, has given us many talents, and some of us are of the misguided assumption that we can just pray and things will just happen. How is that working for you? Please don't get me wrong. Prayer is the key. Prayer is a master key. However, you got to pray and you have to walk. You have to pray and you have to walk. Let me say it again. Prayer and walk are like a hand and a glove. Stop waiting on God to come clean up your living room, your bathroom, your street. God is not going to come and plow your field for you. God is not going to come and study for that exam for you. You need to pray for wisdom and understanding. Then you sit your behind on the desk and study for the exam. How do you want to pass an exam? How do you want to pass an exam without understanding the material? How do you want to have a certificate without knowing the curriculum of the certificate? And how are you going to function? Please, let's not get these things mixed up. We're talking about the subject of laziness. How do you identify laziness in your life? How do you know you are lazy? You need to assess it. You need to do your own self-reflection. How do you know you are lazy? Let's read Proverbs chapter 22, verse 13. It's going to help you know if you are lazy or not. I'll point out a few things from this proverb for you to reflect on. One translation says that, this is King James, says, the slothful man saith, the is a lion without, I shall be slain in the streets. A slothful man says, there is a lion without, I shall be slain on the streets. This is what another translation says. A lazy person says, there is a lion outside, I'll be murdered in the streets. Another translation says, the lazy person says, there is a lion outside, I will be killed in the street. Another translation puts it this way: the loafer says, there is a lion on the loose. If I go out there, I'll be eaten alive. I like this translation. The loafer says the lion is on the loose. The lion is on the loose. If I go out there, I will be eaten alive. Now, this last translation puts it this way: the sluggard says, there is a lion outside, I shall be slain in the streets. How do you know you're lazy? When you have irrational fears that are preventing you from taking the steps you are supposed to take to do the things that you know you are supposed to be doing. It can be taking the step to invest in, taking the step to make a proposal for marriage, taking a step to enroll in an educational program, taking a step to change a geographical location, taking a step to change the friends that you're hanging around with right now. It can be taking a step to start exercising and eating right. You have irrational fear. For example, some of you may be afraid that if you invest, the stock market is going to crash the next day. And because of that, you convince yourself that if you do it, you're going to lose all your money. And so you've never invested a dime. In your mind, you are thinking, if I were to invest, I will lose everything. Irrational fears are an indication of laziness. Because according to this scripture, the lazy person is saying that there is a lion on the loose. The lazy person is saying that there is the risk to go out there is too high. They're going to get killed. Now, let's even assume that there was a lion outside. There was a lion on the loose. Instead of staying indoors, go get a gun, go get something, and bring down the lion so that you can get going. Whatever makes you to stop from doing the thing you're supposed to do is as a result of laziness. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to show you that that is the truth. So one indication that you are lazy is that you have irrational fears. You have irrational fears. And those irrational fears are holding you back. You are not exercising because, according to you, you're going to destroy your knees. You're going to destroy your joints. You're just plain lazy. You mustn't run. There are many other different exercises. Stop being lazy. Stop having irrational fears. The other indicator that you are lazy is that you are highly risk averse. You amplify the risk, expense, the detriment of the benefits. You always look at losing. You are not somebody that is known for being positive. You always look at the downside. You are using that to cover up your laziness. Those who make progress are those that take risk, that are courageous, that they don't let anything stop them. They don't come out with ideas that don't make sense, with excuses that don't make sense. You know those excuses that have been holding you back, preventing your marriage from growing, preventing your career from growing, preventing you from living in good health. Because you come out with outrageous excuses. Some people say, if you run, you're going to drop dead. And they'll tell you how somebody ran and dropped dead. You're just justifying your laziness. We are all gifted. We are all talented in one area or the other. Unfortunately, most of us are not using our gifts. We are not investing in serving other people with those gifts. We are not developing those gifts because of laziness. Now, hear what Jesus told the servant who had one talent and refused to invest it and refused to walk with it. This is what Jesus said. We know this story. A master was living and gave talents to 3 of his servants. 2 invested. Investment is not for the faint at heart. They put themselves out there, invested, and doubled the money that was given to them. Look at what one of the servants said. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But the Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant. Wicked and lazy servant. Now, if you look at what the servant said that word. I know you are somebody who reaps where you don't sow. He went around yada, yada, yada. Whimsical excuses and blowing things out of proportion. But the master just said, you are lazy. You are wicked. You refuse to do anything. You just went and buried my money. So he's saying that you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers. And at my coming, I would have received back my own with interest. Okay? So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. Another translation says, you wicked and slothful servant, right?